Hi, this is Seth Harper,
And I'm Kallio.
and you're listening to the Living Uncharted podcast.
This is our first ever episode, and we're so excited for you to join us.
Okay, I can't believe we're actually doing this.
Yeah, bro. It's
Like,
been a long time in the group chat, and
dude, honestly, I feel like that's. I think we'll get to this probably in a little bit. I know we're going to be talking about like why we chose to start a podcast. I feel like a lot of people I've heard just say like, "Yo, we should start a podcast," and then like they never do it.
oh, I've been saying that.
But here we are. We're actually doing it.
This is a real thing.
Yeah. Um. All right. So yeah, like I said, this is the Living Uncharted podcast. We're hoping that this is just one really fun for the both of us. It's really fun for you guys as well. We're hoping to give a bunch of stories and real life examples of adventurous things and people, um, and just overall maybe give you a few takeaways of what it means to truly live this life.
And hopefully, listening to this podcast will inspire some of you to um, live just a little bit more adventurously in your day-to-day lives.
Yeah. And as a one thing I want to get out of the way, before we start anything else, Levi, I know you're listening, and I know you're waiting for me to say something stupid that you can make fun of. Well, guess what? I don't care. I'm starting a podcast with my best friend, and we're having fun. So you can suck a toe, Levi.
Suck a toe, Levi.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. That was something that had been weighing on me a little bit. So
I could tell. Yeah, for sure.
so yeah, I think the first part of our show that we'll start with is brag sheets about each other. Basically, how this will go down is I'm gonna hype up my bro Asher, so you guys can get to know him a little bit. Um, what's cool about him, and then he'll do the same for me.
Let's get into it. You want to start?
Yeah, I can go for it. Without further ado, here is Asher's brag sheet. Uh, so I would say that most people can say that they've been out of the United States, but I don't know if many people can say that they've lived in multiple different countries outside of the US, which this is a claim that Asher can make, and it would be a true claim because he's lived in Italy, the island of Sardinia, which is just off the coast of Italy, and Israel and France. So that's pretty awesome. And not only that, he hasn't lived in these other places, but he's also been to Iceland, Denmark, and Jordan. Like, bro, like I don't know, like what do you have to say about that?
Um, Dude,
I just feel like the listening audience would want to know a little bit more about all these places you've been to.
it's crazy, man. I think, you know, a lot of it was when I was younger. I haven't been out of the country since I was 14. Um,
Okay? All right.
so it was all when I was much younger, and um, I don't think I was able to fully appreciate the blessing it was.
Yeah.
Um, but now looking back, um, I think I can see more now how much those experiences, um, things I did on my own and things I did with my family really, um, really shaped me and the decisions that I've made later in life. So yeah, very grateful um, to my parents and to God for sending us, I mean, literally on an adventure around the world.
Sounds like
I
you're
didn't,
at an award acceptance speech.
I know, it's, I'd like to thank no,
That's true though. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Additionally, Asher has his EMT certification, which means that he can go around and save people. He's basically a real life superhero. Um, he is a Messianic Jew, which basically means that he's a Christian but with cooler holidays than we have.
Yes, sir.
uh, if the listening audience requests it, I'm sure you can give a more in depth explanation of what it means to be Messianic. But honestly, that's the biggest difference.
Yep. All the other things, just semantics.
He's one of the few bald guys I know who actually looks good. Uh, you know,
Uh,
that's pretty impressive. Like I'm sure that we'll have an episode or we'll mention this at some point. So I guess I'm gonna mention it now. Asher and I are both already starting to go bald naturally, but a little embarrassing.
we will definitely have an episode dedicated to that.
Yeah, yeah, that'll probably be like the episode where like we're really feeling ourselves, and then we just need to like humble ourselves a little bit, you
Yep.
know. But that's all right. He's shaved it all off now, and he's looking fine. And on top of that, he is swole as hell. Um, so at the moment, it's just an audio podcast, not a video podcast. But if we ever decide to do video, he'll have to give a few flexes for y'all.
I'd be happy to.
And then last but not least, in fact, I think the last two were leading up to this. Ladies, he is single, but he is very ready to mingle.
Oh,
Uh, I would hop on that train.
we know you would.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Like if I was a woman, like I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
And for all you listeners, that is probably going to be a common theme of this podcast. Seth and I are both uh, straight men,
All right.
but listen,
If I was a woman, I would, it's just
things get a little out of control.
like Asher, he's just a very eligible bachelor. And
Yeah.
someone ought to take advantage. That's a little bit about Asher right there.
All right. And yeah, mine for Seth is actually pretty long. I might have to
You flatter me.
shorten it a little bit. Um, a lot of people have accused Seth of being a nepo baby, just
Really?
born into money.
Who are these people?
He grew
Like,
up poor, just like me. Um, in fact, the U.S. government is currently paying him to go to school. You know, some say that's because he got a grant. Some say that's because he's just that smart. Who do you really believe?
and I would
Oh,
say that it's
up to
both.
you. There you go. Yeah. No, he is a UW Madison student. Semi-famous on campus for climbing things that he really shouldn't be. And
Yeah,
for that,
that's definitely true of at least my younger days. I feel like I matured a little bit.
he's matured, but at least in the sense that he's not climbing as many things anymore. But what else? Let's look at my list here.
Seems like a strenuous task for you.
Yeah, I mean it's huge. He was recently married.
That's right.
And she's taller. So
I don't know.
W's for the short guys.
Okay, so I got to a little story quick about that actually. So when I was dating my now wife, her name is Rowan, and I'm sure we'll have her on the podcast at some point. Um,
We might
I
talk.
we might occasionally, hypothetically. It's not like she's the most important person.
Right. Because it's me.
Yeah, obviously. No, sorry, honey. Don't worry, I love you. Anyway, um, so yeah, when I think this is actually before we had started dating, um, she came with me to visit my family, and we were at church one day, and my mom wanted to get a picture of us, and I remember distinctively that I adjusted my posture to stand up straighter, which I would like to say is true. That if I am actually standing up straight, I am just a little bit taller than you. But if I'm not, so I don't know. I like to joke that she has caused me to try to care about my back.
And that's what marriage is really all about.
Absolutely.
Posture.
Who's
Um,
who's gonna help you correct your posture?
yeah, if not your wife, who?
I can say a lot of things about
um,
that.
moving right along. Um, at Madison, Seth helped to grow an intervarsity campus ministry, which if you guys continue to listen to the podcast, you'll find out that our faith is very important to us.
Absolutely.
Um, and he'll be graduating with his bachelor's in accounting here in the spring. So um, if you need any numbers tallied up, Beth is your man. Um, he has also read all of the Lord of the Rings books, The Hobbit, and for all of you mega fans out there, The Silmarillion.
Yeah,
He's
boy.
done the thing that I have still yet to do.
It took a lot out of me. It drained me. It tested who I was as a man, but I made it through it, and I think I'm all the better for it.
He made it through just like a strenuous sports game
Right.
or I don't know, something else that's terribly hard. Really drawing a blank here. Um, and for the last and in my mind, Seth's single greatest achievement ever. Um, he one time single-leggedly kicked down a door to help one of our friends, and I'll
Oh,
let him tell the rest of the story because it
dude,
needs telling.
dude, I forgot about that. I
Yeah, you
mean,
did.
yeah, I'll try to summarize it because I know we got some other stuff we want to get to. But yeah, so I think Asher had a friend who was trying to sell a boat, but the friend wasn't there, and so Asher and I had to go into this guy's apartment to get the title for it. Um, but the door was locked and we didn't have the key, or we had a key, but like we were able to unlock the deadbolt, but we weren't able to unlock the normal lock for it. Um, and so we called the guy, and he was like, "As long as you don't break the deadbolt, feel free to just like get the door down by any means necessary." So yeah, I loaded up, and I don't know if I used my leg. Honestly, I probably like leaned in with
Did you
my
shoulder
shoulder.
charge? Yeah,
I
you
think I
might have
shouldered it.
shoulder charged
I
it.
think I shouldered it. Uh,
Either way,
yeah. So that is true. That did happen. That was pretty epic.
I didn't include that in my best man speech at your wedding.
Oh, bro.
That's an L for me, honestly.
Yeah. That
More
was
more people should know that. And also I would like to mention um that I didn't smash the door down because I wanted Seth to have that opportunity. I just need to get that out there.
okay. All right. All right.
I
I see
wanted
what
to
you're
smash
trying to do here.
crush it so bad.
Uh,
Um,
it's just I was the only one that was brave enough.
but it was a canon event for Seth and I couldn't interfere. So there's that. Brag sheets done. Um, You guys know a little bit about us and our epic accomplishments.
So now I think we're gonna get into a little bit of just like why we chose to start a podcast. So I mean, I've got some things I can say, but Asher, do you want to start us off? What were some of the reasons?
Um, we wanted to do a podcast. Um, I mean, one of the best reasons I can think of is that um, Seth lives in Madison, and I'm about 2.5 hours away in Oshkosh. Um, and so we just don't get to see each other that often. So I think, um, starting a podcast and um, talking over the phone, over all the logistical parts of it, trying to get it up and running. We've been talking every day for probably a week.
At least
So
probably, probably more
it's
closer to
definitely
2 weeks, honestly.
maybe more like 2 weeks at this point. So it's definitely brought us closer, um, just in starting the thing. And now we'll be like regularly um, hopping on the podcast and talking with each other and also interviewing guests um, together. So it was a move for ourselves just to better ourselves, but also for our friendship to like uh, keep the flame alive kind of
Yeah,
thing.
dude, honestly, I couldn't agree more. Like that was actually the first thing that I was going to mention. But also, like, yeah, I feel like yeah, we mentioned this a little bit at the beginning of the show. Um, but podcasts are just a really cool way to be able to honestly talk about whatever you want to talk. And yeah, it was the kind of thing where we had joked about starting one for several years now.
Like
So
every friendship does.
yeah, absolutely. And like, we'd make the offhanded comments of like, dude, we should start a podcast. We never did. And then yeah, just a couple weeks ago, I reached out to him about it again. I was like, bro, what if we actually started a podcast like, for real this time?
And I was like for real, for real.
And I was like, hell yeah, bro. Real. So yeah, that's kind of that. As for
Seth,
some
do you
other,
want to maybe go into what your initial costs for getting this podcast up and running and just your experience with um your equipment? I know you're
yeah.
just super happy.
Yeah. So honestly, if you want to start a podcast, getting some basic mic equipment, not that hard. I think the set that I bought off of Amazon was like $35. And it came with a mic and a soundboard, um, and one of those like things that you fold over the mic that's like a foam screen. I don't know what the heck all those things. Um, and so yeah, I was like, we're just starting this off, so I don't want to invest in like some super expensive equipment yet. You never know if we pop off and people actually start to really like listening to us idiots talk, um, then I might choose to invest in something a bit more expensive. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. We were like even before we started recording, like there was some issues with like in our headphones, like whether we'd be able to hear both of us in the mic or just one of us. But we figured something out, and we're going for it. I can hear how he sounds on the mic, and he can hear how I sound. So yeah. So next kind of little thing we figured it might be helpful to talk about a little bit that you guys might be interested in is why we chose the title Living Uncharted. Um, yeah, Asher, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah. So we're both huge fans of the video game series Uncharted. Um and honestly, it was like really a point of like connection in our friendship. Like this was something that Seth kind of introduced me to, and I think I'd heard of the game before, and I was like, all right, let's check this out. We ended up just um anytime Seth would be home from college, we'd hang out. He'd be on break, and we'd be like passing the controller between each other, um, playing this game. If you've never heard of it, definitely check it out. Um, and so we were we were looking at names, and
Well,
um,
here, wait, can I cut in for a second?
yeah, cut in.
So, for those of you who have never heard of the Uncharted video game series, um, it's basically Indiana Jones, except with better characters and a better story. And so, like, yeah, so like that in and of itself, like the theme of the games is very quote unquote stereotypically adventure based.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we wanted to um include the game in our podcast somehow. Um, so
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's the last half of the name, and living. You guys know about that.
Oh yeah. Like honestly, like I think adding like the living Uncharted aspect of it, uh, I know that both of us have talked about how like we would love to go on like the kind of adventures that like the title character Nathan Drake would go on.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I know that this game inspired us to want to live more adventurously. So that's what got us the name. And so again, like yeah, we'll some of the stories that we'll tell will be what you would, expect to hear from like an adventure story of people going around the world and doing crazy things. But um, I don't know. I think that on the other side of the coin, we also want to be able to show that like Uncharted doesn't necessarily have to mean going to the other side of the world. There's different everyday ways to be adventurous.
Yeah. Uncharted could be um a new spot in your backyard that um that you do something cool in, or it could even be um a relationship that you have with a with someone at work. That could be totally uncharted territory, and um building a friendship with them is an adventure. I think that's another thing that we want to emphasize is kind of um, reframing adventure
Yeah.
to being, obviously we still want to have those large scale adventures. Uh, we have some friends that just got back from a trip to Indonesia. We'll definitely try to get them on the pod and um, hear about their adventures. Um, but not everyone can up and go to Indonesia every month.
That's
So we need some smaller adventures in between the big ones to keep life interesting.
So yeah, I think we're getting a little bit short on time here. I know we wanted to try to keep this around a half hour. I think well honestly what we'll probably do to conclude the show. Um, this is a segment that we're hoping to have on every episode, where Asher and I are just going to talk about um, something adventurous that happened to us um, in the time since we last recorded, and it kind of one help you guys keep up with what we're doing in our lives, but two to also just show by example that like living life adventurously can take a variety of forms. So yeah, Asher, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah. Um, so my adventure this week, I think think it was honestly started like last weekend. Um, my car had been having some issues starting. I was like, okay, it's not great. I didn't really know what it was. And then one day it took a really long time. I was like, oh boy. And then the next day it just wouldn't start at all. So thankfully I got it into my driveway, but um and like I'm gonna get it taken in. But I can't get in anywhere until Monday. Um,
Jeez.
so this week I'm without a car. So I've just been trying to get creative. Um, I've used my dad's car, the family van. Um, I've longboarded. Friends have picked me up. Getting creative with transportation. But today took my creativity to another level.
Oh boy, here we go.
I wanted to go to BioLife, donate some plasma. Um, I'm working right now, but it's pretty part time, so I'm trying to get some extra money. Um, and I could bike to BioLife, but it's a ways. I was like, oh, I'll take the bus. So I grabbed my longboarded to the bus stop, barely made it in time to jump on the bus, and bus took me pretty close to BioLife, which was nice. Got my donation in. Um, I didn't make it out in time to get back on the bus to go back, so I ended up just longboarding home. Took like a half hour, but it ended up being a really nice longboard trip. Um, and I didn't have headphones or anything. I was just longboarding away, and it was really cool because um there was like I was going right next to the street, and there was a dog like hanging out the window of this car, and I just smiled at it, and it looked at me, and I rolled up next to the driver, and I was like, "What's his name?" And she was like, "Max." I was like, "Max, yeah." And then
Perfect name.
I don't know, I felt like the main character. It was great.
Yeah.
I was rolling by. Nobody's gonna be riding a longboard on a cold day in October. So everybody's like craning their necks to look at me like, who the heck is this?
What is this idiot doing?
So yeah, I was getting a lot of looks, and this guy on the sidewalk like high fived me as I went past.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, really put me in a good mood, honestly. Got back probably 20 minutes before we started recording the podcast. Um,
Dude, I didn't know it was that close.
yeah, yeah. I cut it a little close, honestly. But yeah, wind in my very short hair. It was just a great ride back. Um, so yeah, that's my mini adventure for you guys. What you got, Seth?
Well, before I get to mine, there's actually one point that probably should have mentioned earlier. But we mentioned Uncharted, the video game series, quite a bit throughout this show, and I guarantee we're going to mention it a lot going forward. But Sony is not a sponsor of ours, currently, at least anyway.
But
But Sony, if
tell
you're
me
listening,
if you're listening.
reach out to us. Anyway, just wanted to put that out.
We would do it for free, Sony.
Well, I mean, aren't we already? Isn't that what we're doing? I mean, like that's the entire point.
Unofficial. We're okay. So here's what we'll say: we are unofficially sponsored by the Uncharted video game series.
Which basically means that we're bums and we're not getting paid.
Well,
Anyway.
That part was inferred, but whatever.
Oh man. Dude, I'm so glad we're doing this.
It's great.
Anyway, so yeah, I would say my weekly everyday adventure happened just this past weekend. Um, so my wife and I, as Asher mentioned, we live in Madison, and so we traveled back to where I grew up, which is near Oshkosh, technically in the town of Amro. It's a really small town just outside of Oshkosh. Um, and so we got to hang out with my mom and my brother for a little bit. And then this past Saturday, we helped my aunt move into a new house, which, for all of you out there who have ever moved yourself or have helped someone else move, you can imagine that it was a stressful day and a lot of work.
It
Was,
is an ordeal,
dude, honestly.
to say
But
the least.
it was epic because my aunt's son, so my cousin, I don't honestly know what he does for a living. He's kind of a redneck. Um, but I know he has access to,
Possible mafia ties, I'm hearing.
you know,
That's kind of the
potentially,
vibe I'm getting.
potentially. I'll ask. Um, but the point is, whatever he does, he has access to semi trucks, and so he was able to bring in a massive semi truck to haul all of my aunt's crap, which she has a lot of it. No offense, Aunt Sherry, I love you. Um, so we were able to do that. We got all that done, and then later that night, I went to hang out with my co-host, and that was when we recorded the trailer for this very podcast.
And we were hyped.
Dude, we were so honestly like
We were so juiced on that.
that was like that was one of the moments where like once I saw that it was like live on
Yeah.
Spotify, where like I don't know, you can ask my wife. Like I went back to my mom's house. My mom and my wife were having a girls' night, and I got back and like I just couldn't stop smiling. I played the trailer over and over again. Um,
Hey guys, you want to listen to the trailer again?
yeah, it's just a trailer. It's no big deal. But here, listen to it again a million times. So yeah, that was really awesome. It was a really good weekend, and a start to what is hopefully a really fun podcasting journey.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just getting started.
Well, Asher, is there anything else any parting words you want to leave for our listening audience?
Oh man. Stay classy, San Diego.
Dude. Oh yes, what a movie! Oh my gosh, we'll have to talk about Hankerman. Well, maybe we'll do a movie review.
Maybe we'll have Will Ferrell on the pod.
We could. That's right. Hey, if you guys we get up to 1 million followers, we'll have Will Ferrell on the pod. Right. So
That's our promise to you.
that's right.
We'll get him somehow.
So yeah. Thanks for listening.
And we hope you'll join us next time on the Living Uncharted podcast.